guys, it's been a while. I thought I'd do a story time. This time I want to dedicate it to the birth of my son. I delivered my son December 30th, 1990. He's 25 years old. It's a long time ago. I was 21 years old. I had just turned 21 7 days before. So, my pregnancy was a little bit on the difficult side, but it wasn't anything like too hard. I had a miscarriage a year before that, and so I was treated a little bit more delicately because of that. And I was so petite and tiny that my son, he kind of outgrew the room to grow inside my belly. Everything was so compact. I was 96 pounds, and I'm 5'2" now, so I was just shy of 5'2". So that was a little bitty thing. So I did go to the hospital a few times with discomfort because he bruised my insides trying to, move around, and he moved around a lot. So it was quite painful at times, although I didn't have any serious complications. I had a lot of Braxton Hicks contractions. Those are false labor contractions towards the ends, pretty normal. So I did make a few visits to the hospital at that time. I knew I was having a boy. I wanted to know. I could not just be surprised. I just couldn't do that. I was dying to know, and I was so happy I was having a boy. I always felt a connection to having a son, and the first baby was a boy, so I wanted a boy. And I'm going to share a couple of snippets of pictures I have here. Now, this is baby daddy and I back in the 80s. And here we are again. It's like really old, so we look blurry, but whatever. And the night that I went into labor, actually the daytime I went into labor, it was a Friday, December 30th. Nothing really happened too much. Like I knew it felt different. I felt this really pressurized, heavy feeling right between my legs. Like I felt his head drop, like he dropped. There is no denying that feeling. It's like all these false labor, Braxton Hicks. It's like, pinching, cramping here and there and this and that. It feels like discomfort, and they're erratic, and then they go away. That's one thing, but the real deal, that pressure, that like, boom, it was like a bowling ball just dropped between my legs, and I felt like I was going to like lose him. Like I couldn't hold him in, so I knew that it was time. So everybody was alerted that needed to know, and about 11:30 that evening, we checked into the hospital, and I got all hooked up and everything, and they said, yes, you're at, I think I was at 4, dilated to 4, and they wanted to keep me at that point. So I was like, I was in, I was down, I was all hooked up, I was ready to roll. And as the labor progressed, it got harder and harder and harder, like hard. It was like, ugh. In my back I felt it, and I felt it in the front, and it just was just so uncomfortable. And the doctor recommended that I get an epidural, which is basically, it numbs you from the waist down. I think everybody knows what that is by now. So I opted for that. I was okay because it hurt, and I wanted that pain to stop. And sure enough, they put the needle in, and really, if you're going to get an epidural, I wouldn't worry too much and have too many anxieties about the pain of the needle between your spine, between your discs, because when you're having intense labor, because they only do it when you're dilated between a certain amount, and within that certain amount, you're guaranteed to feel that labor feeling. And it was so uncomfortable that putting the needle in, I didn't even feel that, because the labor itself, the contractions themselves, the pain from that was more than a needle going in my back. So I didn't even feel that. I was having contractions so close together that was just in between, and I didn't even feel it. So I wouldn't stress too much if you're going to do that. If anything, I would think about it when it comes to the rest of my story. And the rest of my story is I was in labor for a total of 42 hours. Now, that was back then, 1990, and the policies have changed in hospitals. They will now just opt for a C-section if you're having trouble. And since his heart rate was fine and I was doing okay, I was just dying, but not really. I was dramatic. Because I wasn't suffering of anything that was life-threatening at that point, they were like, just roll with it, girl. Push that baby out naturally. Well, with the epidural. And so I was allowed to progress through the entire weekend. So Sunday rolls around, and that epidural helped me to sleep, and it helped me to stay comfortable through the bulk of the labor. The labor just lasted so goddamn long that by Sunday evening, early evening, I could feel all the pain again, and I still had that catheter in my back giving me the epidural, and it was on a time release. And I could press a button and it would release more if I needed it, but it's really stopped working. And I was told by the nurses, while it helps with contraction pains, it does not help with the pressure pain. So of course I was fucked and I was feeling the pain again, and there was nothing I could do about it at that point. Just deal with it. So finally it came time for me to push. I was dilated all the way and like, okay, finally, we're gonna push. Well, he kind of got stuck, and I was pushing for 2 hours. And the reason why I was pushing for 2 hours is because that damn epidural came back to bite me, and I was still paralyzed. So I could not feel how I was pushing, but I could feel all the pain. So it was kind of like I was really double freaking screwed. And I just wanted him out because I know he was trapped, and I was thinking, how is he breathing? Like, my water broke and all this stuff, and my poor baby boy and poor me, and I feel like my insides are ripping, and they were. And finally, after 2 hours of pushing, somehow my body extracted this foreign body named Kirsten, and he came into my world about a little after 5 in the evening. So I gave birth to this little bundle of joy right here. This little cone head. Like, he had a major cone head because he was stuck inside my vag for 2 flippin' hours. Poor thing. Poor me. Yes, I got ripped. Yes, I had an episiotomy. Yes, they put lots of sutures. Yes, it hurt. Get ready for that, new moms. Here's my little boy right here. And got a bunch of cute pictures. This was in the hospital with my grandparents. My grandpa Willie right there is no longer with us for about almost 7 years now. Look at my son. He looks so red, but really it's just old pictures. And well, let's go backwards. This is me at 7 months pregnant with him. I ended up going into the hospital because he was just too big. I was being asked at 6 months along, are you having twins? Because he was just so big. And this is me with my girlfriend, and that's my son, and that's me in the striped shirt. I was nice and puffy from having a baby. That happens. I gained almost 50 pounds because I ate like a pig. This is that little boy right there. He had a lot of hair. He had like auburn and brown and blonde tips. And right here he is 3 months old. This is him and I. Oh my gosh, my hair wasn't gray. That was soon to change though. It's my boy again. It was such an experience though, having my boy. That's my sister in the striped shirt. Halloween. Halloween. There's my little boy right there. And here, as he's growing, that's him in school before I homeschooled. That's my son right there. He's such a good boy. He was pretty hyper when he was a little kid, but then he mellowed out. This is my boy today. He's so gonna be mad at me for showing pictures of him. He's like such a private person. Can't really see. There he is. Hey son. I miss him. He's in Washington. So, yeah. And almost 4 years after that, I gave birth to my daughter. That's another story, but I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about the whole. If you don't have any issues and everything's going just smoothly. Yes, it will hurt at some point. Yes, it will be uncomfortable, but it is so worth it in the end. And I would do it again if I could, but I'm an old bird, so that time is done, and now I just look forward to grandbabies. My son is now married, and hopefully when him and his wife are ready, they will bestow me a baby. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any birthing stories that are crazy or just want to share, go ahead and let me know about it. I'd love to hear it. Alright, take care guys. Bye.